Did you know the exact birth date of William Shakespeare remains a mystery? Even though we've all come to accept April 23rd, 1564 as the date of his birth, it's a fact born more from tradition than concrete evidence. Here's the twist. The only documented date in relation to his birth is that of his christening, which took place in the quaint town of Stratford-upon-Avon on April 26, 1564. Now you might wonder why this date doesn't settle the mystery. Well, in 16th century England, it was customary for infants to be christened about 3 days after their birth. Hence the common acceptance of April 23rd as his birthday. It's a bit like piecing together a jigsaw puzzle with a few missing pieces. So while we may not know his exact birth date, April 23rd is widely celebrated as Shakespeare's birthday. And that, my friends, is the enigma of Shakespeare's birth. Can you imagine? There are 7 years in Shakespeare's early life that historians call the lost years. Yes, that's right. From 1585 to 1592, the life of the bard is akin to a blank page. Now, why is that? Well, it's because no records of Shakespeare's activities during this period exist. This gap in history has stirred the pot of speculation, leading to a hodgepodge of theories. Some propose that young Will may have honed his skills as a schoolmaster in the English countryside. Others suggest that he might have been trotting across Europe, soaking in the culture and the languages that later found their way into his plays. The truth, however, remains elusive. Despite the meticulous record-keeping of the Elizabethan era, these 7 years continue to baffle scholars and history buffs alike. So, the man who penned some of the most enduring works of literature remains a mystery himself for those 7 years. Did you know Shakespeare had a wife and 3 children? A surprising fact, isn't it? At the tender age of 18, Shakespeare entered into matrimony with Anne Hathaway, who was 8 years his senior. The couple welcomed 3 children into the world. Their firstborn, a daughter named Susanna, arrived just 6 months after their nuptials, followed by a set of twins, Hamlet and Judith. Family life for the Shakespeares, however, was not all joy and laughter. Tragedy struck when Hamlet, Shakespeare's only son, succumbed to an unknown illness at the youthful age of 11. The loss of a child, a theme that echoes in his plays, was a reality that Shakespeare lived through. The bard's private life, it appears, was as complex and compelling as the dramatic works he penned. Despite his fame, Shakespeare's family life was filled with as much tragedy and drama as his plays. Who would have thought that Shakespeare was not just a playwright, but also a savvy businessman? Indeed, this literary giant, known for his eloquent sonnets and captivating plays, was also a shrewd investor. He was a shareholder in the Lord Chamberlain's Men, a prominent playing company of the time. This wasn't just a side gig, it was a calculated business move that led to considerable wealth. Shakespeare's business acumen didn't stop at the theatre. He also had an eye for real estate. His investments stretched from his hometown Stratford-upon-Avon to the bustling streets of London. These ventures further solidified his financial status, providing a steady income that allowed him to focus on his writing. So, the man behind the quill was not just a master of the written word, but also a keen businessman. His ability to juggle both arts and commerce was truly remarkable. So, besides being a celebrated playwright, Shakespeare was quite the entrepreneur. Ever wondered about the extent of Shakespeare's influence on the English language? Well, it's far more extensive than you might think. Shakespeare was not just a playwright and a poet, he was a master wordsmith. He coined phrases and words that we still use today, from green-eyed monster to heart of gold, and even break the ice. This genius did not limit himself to the English language. His works have been translated into every major language and are performed more often than those of any other playwright. His plays continue to be studied, dissected, and reinterpreted across the globe. In schools, on stages, and in literature, his influence is ubiquitous. Shakespeare's legacy is not confined to language and literature. It permeates our culture, our thought processes, and our understanding of human nature. So, even after 400 years, Shakespeare's influence remains deeply embedded in our language and culture.